Nice to hear one. Opening statement, just want to wish Ben and Lindsay luck tonight. I know they both tip off to start their seasons. I'm really excited to see how they both do. Follow them and be at the bar in there to cheer them on. So I know our team feels the same way. So all the best as they tip off the 2022-23 season. So look forward to following them both. So we'll start with that and open up for questions.
PJ, do you have an update on Tanner's health?
No update to right now. He was at practice yesterday, so I'll get a better update as we go through the days. But the doctors just felt like they were going to keep him out the second half, so they make that call. Go ahead.
Talk about complimentary football. And how did you feel like, in retrospect, Ethan complimented that?
Well, I think we're at our best no matter what if we're playing complimentary football. Whether we're balanced on offense, we're going 3-and-outs on defense, special teams are playing at a high level. We need all three phases to play really well for us to be a really good football team. And I think everybody would, if they were honest, would say the same thing. And I thought in the first half, we got out physical on offense. I thought we got out physical on defense. And that was the story of the whole first half. We had to be able to fix the game plan. We had to be able to adjust to what Nebraska was doing. You guys heard my post-game press conference, words of basically take that game plan and throw it out defensively. And I thought Joe Rossi and the staff did a great job, along with our players, of adjusting in the second half. I thought we were way more complimentary in the second half. But we've got to be able to make routine plays. I think we're way better when the routine ones are made. When the routine ones aren't made, no matter what team you are, you're going to be behind the chains. You're not going to be an efficient offense. The routine tackles, when the routine tackles are not made, you're not going to be a very effective and efficient defense, right? The routine plays that need to be on special teams. If they're not routine and you're not making those, it's going to be really hard for you to play complementary football. It's going to be hard for you to be able to win a lot of games. And I think that was the story of the first half to the second half. The routine plays we were able to make, offense, defense, and even special teams. But I thought our special teams played great from first half to second half all the way through the game. So I think it's really important. And I think Ethan's really talented. They both bring a lot to the table as you go forward. And I'm glad we have them both.
For people who don't know, what's it like for coaching staff when you get into a game and have to rip up certain aspects of a game plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a reality series as the headset of a college football coach or NFL coach, I'm sure. But it's one of those things that you can't panic. You got to be incredibly patient, okay? And that's really hard to do. I think the way we were and what we did was probably more patient than I've ever been as a head football coach. The way you call the game, what the decisions you make, we're on the 36-yard line and we punt to pin them down inside the 10, slight into a slight wind. There's a lot of calls you make that you've got to extend the game to give yourself the best chance to come back from a 10-0 deficit. The last time, I'm going to throw off some stats here. Last time Minnesota, right, won after being down 10-0 was in 2009. That was a long time ago, okay? So you've got to do everything you can to extend the game, make the game a little bit longer, and be patient. And I knew when we came back out in that second half, started towards the end of the first half, but in the second half, we were going to be able to control the game defensively. And when we started doing that, that's where a ton of my confidence went into, is trusting the defense. And then as you see for the offense, we were able to get a field goal, start the second half. We were able to get moving that way. And then I thought we were able to make some big explosive plays. And I thought Ethan did a really good job with his feet, created some on his own. And then special teams were dynamite. We were able to kick 47 and a 49-yarder with Matthew Trickett. Dragan was exceptional, in his kickoffs. And Mark was tremendous with his punts, pinning them inside the 20, 3 times. So, again, it was one of those games where you had to truly trust what was going on and being said and stick to the new plan rather than really what you did all week.
Upon looking at the film with Ethan, what do you feel he did really well? What do you feel he needs to improve on?
Well, I think that, when you talk about improve on, it's everything. We're a holistic development program with our quarterbacks and everything, right? But I think when you watch Ethan's got this incredible confidence. He has it, right? And when you go out there and watch him, I told you before Penn State he wouldn't be rattled. And if there's one guy who wasn't rattled at that game, it was him. And he just matter of factly, just ready to go. Let's go. And he works really hard during the week. He's learning how to work really hard during the week at this level. I think Tanner, they have worked really well together in terms of competing with, and Tanner showing Ethan how to be able to prepare throughout the week, because I think that's taught. We get only so many hours with them, but you need your players to coach your players, and you need them to show them what the standard looks like and how to prepare for an opponent. And I think that, at times when you're a backup, I think in your own mind, you're like, well, I'll wait till I'm a starter to prepare. And then you become the starter and you play and you get thrown in there in the second half, and you better be able to go win the game and execute and prepare and perform at a very high level. And you don't do that unless you prepare throughout the week like you are the starter. And I thought Ethan did a really good job of that throughout the week, and he always has. And I think Tanner deserves a lot of credit, Coach Shiraka, for that culture and that atmosphere of growth inside that quarterback room.
You set a season high in pressures against Nebraska. What changed?
I thought we played incredibly hard, and we've always played hard. But I think that guys are getting better. Ja Joyner is getting better. I thought he played one of his better games in just relentless pursuit to the quarterback. Now, can his technique and fundamentals be better? Absolutely. I thought Thomas Rush did a great job. I thought internal pressure was better than we've had. I thought Danny Strigow, when he was in there, played really hard. But I thought the internal pressure, Trill Carter was able to make some plays, even in the run game, by penetration and creating the quarterback to be able to escape the pocket, which allowed us to be able to pursue and either get a quarterback throw away, quarterback hurry, quarterback hit, or get some sacks. And we weren't bringing any more pressure, so it wasn't like we were bringing 5 and 6. We were doing it with 4, which was really beneficial for us.
Defensively, you guys were able to limit Palmer in the slot a lot. What did you like about what you guys did there?
Well, exactly that. I liked how we limited him. I think the quarterback pressure helped with that. I thought we contested a lot of balls that were in the air. I think that was really critical. We were hitting the wideouts as they caught the ball, especially the last play of the game. But I think that he's an exceptional wide receiver. I mean, you look at all the receivers, and they had them all back for that game, and they could really throw it. They can really go down the field. They have athletes everywhere. Andy, you were down there. I mean, they're a good-looking football team. When you look across that 50-yard line, I said that they're a really good-looking football team, and they've got all the size, strength, speed, and athletes. And I thought our guys did a really good job of settling down, adjusting to the new game plan necessarily. I mean, 90% of it's pretty new of what we threw at them. Every time they came to the sideline, we were changing more and more and more, because you can't just throw it all because you haven't seen it all. It takes a while to see that whole game plan, come to fruition of what they're working on and how they're trying to beat you. And I thought our staff did a great job, and players did a great job of committing to that process.
Trickett was just named Special Teams Player of the Week in the Big Ten. What can you say about the honor, and how big those 2 kicks were?
Those were huge kicks. The first one was huge. It was 47 yards. It was into the wind. And that was where we had his line drawn. We always talk about, you ever see me, I have my little yellow notepad, and we go out there, and I'm out there pregame, and I'm throwing stuff up from 15-yard line hashes and different yard lines of really getting the wind, and meeting with Coach Wanger for that particular time of where do we feel really comfortable about. And that's where we felt really good about, within a yard or two from where he was at. Got a ton of confidence in him and what he's done in his career here, what he's done in his career even at Kent. We have football players that are specialists, and that's what I respect about them. They love the game of football. They understand football. They're involved with the football players. They are football players. They just happen to be specialists. And I think that it's well-deserved, because without those two, we don't win that game. And the 49-yarder with the wind at his back, he absolutely crushed it. We had great protection, and he's kicking at a very confident level right now, and I'm really proud of him. So well-deserved.
How key was the blocking of the wide receivers in the run game, especially in the second half?
Yeah, I think it can always be better. We started the game a little slow in terms of the run blocking, I think, on the perimeter, but I thought they picked up as the game went on, got a feel for what they were doing. But the effort's always there. The one thing about this football team, and the reason why I say I love them and they're so fun to coach and they're committed, I've said that all along, is because I love their response. They didn't blink an eye, to being down 10-0. Their effort, I never questioned their effort. Adjusting some things and new looks we got to get better at, and we got to get better at just the routine things, across the routine things being made, the plays being made. And I know they'll respond to that, but that's what I love about them. They came in yesterday, and you couldn't tell whether we won or lost. They were just ready to work and grow and get in that film room and be better. And I know that they're blocking really hard on the perimeter, but it can always be better. And I know that they have that expectation of themselves because they know how important they are. And we're one block away from springing it.
What's your assessment of what you're getting from your own slot receivers?
Well, right now, I think everybody, it's not just the slot receivers, it's just receivers in general in terms of productivity. We need to be more consistent, and I think we all understand that and know that. I think there's the routine pieces of that need to continue to grow and get better. We're not deep enough. We're not good enough across the board to not make routine plays and think we're going to make up for that throughout the entire game. And I think I speak for every head coach that thinks that way. We don't have to be perfect, but the routine ones have to be made. We have high standards. That's why kids are disappointed if they don't do it. They're not discouraged or disappointed. But then you look out yesterday and everybody's out there catching balls, doing the routine stuff, doing extra work, doing unrequired stuff. That's what I love about the team is when they do get a result, they respond to it. But we need to keep being more productive. And we need to keep playing at a really high level and continue to play at a higher level week in, week out. And they know that. It's nothing that they don't know. We got to coach them better. We got to get them to be able to do it. But we also made some incredible plays, too, that kept us in that football game and gave us an opportunity to go win the football game. I thought Daniel Jackson had an outstanding game. And, again, he's growing up. This is his first time being the guy. I mean, he went into the year probably being 3, and now he got to be the guy throughout in season. You don't get the spring ball to prepare for that mentally. You can, but it's still different when you're not the guy. I think he's doing a really good job. I thought Dalen came back and responded really well. It's good to see him get back to his form. But again, the consistency of that has to stay. And I know that he's growing up, he's maturing, and this is part of that process. And nobody believes in him more than us. And we'll keep pouring into him, and he's got a lot of confidence. And I hope he keeps just on that track and getting better. And then, Michael Brown-Stevens made some big plays, but we got to just keep getting those routine ones made. And then when the ball's in the air, people talk about 50-50 balls, and I get all that, but we don't want 50-50. We want it 90-10, 95-5, 99-1, 99.99999.0001. We want to have that in our favor, and that's the mentality we want to have, and we got to keep developing that with our guys.
When you look at Northwestern, how much do you have to kind of divorce the record from what they are as a team?
First of all, when you play Northwestern, never look at the record. Now, I don't think I ever have, because you know exactly what you're going to get. I mean, they're a tough football team. They're coached by Pat Fitzgerald. They play as hard as anybody we've ever played, and it's every year. So I never look at the record. I told our team the same thing. I said, you're going to go play the Big Ten West champ. Defending Big Ten West champ. That's our mindset because they've earned that right. They've done it a lot in the last few years, and they play incredibly, incredibly hard. I mean, look at the 2 games. Penn State, they almost beat at Penn State, and they almost beat Ohio State at home. So, I mean, I don't have to really tell our team that. We got 19 days until the end of the regular season, and we've got our own vision and what we want to do. We got to play our best football this week. We know that, and we got to learn from all the other ones that we played in, all 9. And we've got an incredible amount of data in the first 9 of what we can keep getting better at. So the goal is to go 1-0 against Northwestern, but trust me, this football team doesn't look at that record one bit, nor are we fooled by that record one bit. Can't fool us with that because they're very good at what they do and how they do it, and they got tough players. They got a tough mindset. They got an elite culture, elite coaching staff. So.
You mentioned earlier Ethan has that it factor. How would you describe his leadership style?
Well, I think that it's incredibly confident, and I think he's getting better at reaching every player. I think, when you're a leader, you've got to have, first of all, empathy's got to be at the forefront of that, but you've got to be able to reach every single player, not the same way either. And a lot of times, leadership comes down to people, do they trust you? Well, that comes with time, consistency, and proof, right? So he hasn't had a lot of time here. He's just starting with his consistency, but they have practice film, right? And then there's proof. Well, you have basically a game and a half of proof. But I know this. They know how he works. They know what he does. They see him in practice. And if he's in the game, they know what they're going to get out of him. And it's just the start of him being a great leader. I can't tell you how many times every single play helping him say, hey, go up to that guy right now. Here's what you say to this guy. Hey, did you just see that? Hey, get back in the huddle. You need to say something right now during the game. And I have to kind of educate him through that. Not that he's doing anything wrong. It's just part of my job is to make him a better leader and see it from the outside and the helicopter view of how he can go out there and do it better. But he's got natural leadership ability. I mean, that's a given. He's got natural intangibles. It's just he's a redshirt freshman. So the more he's in there and the more he plays and the more he's around his teammates and the more he's in those environments, the better he's going to be because he's going to embrace his past to create his future. And it starts in practice. And, this has been a year and a half of developing that already, almost 2 years of developing that already. So is he where he's going to be 4 years from now, 3 years from now? No. But he's closer today than he was yesterday. And I appreciate that about him because he's not just a good football player. I mean, he wants to be a great leader. And I think our team really respects him for that.
Your offense came out with such aggressiveness in the second half.
Yeah.
Was that something that you guys were looking for coming out of halftime, or is that something, we talked about Ethan and his confidence, where he saw those shots deep and he just took them?
Well, I think if you look at the first half, I wouldn't say we had more plays in the second half. And in the first half, I think we were somewhat aggressive down the field. We just didn't make the play. It's different when you don't make the play. Now it's 2nd and 10. We hit the play to Dalen, hit the play to Daniel Jackson, and both of those take us down the field. And now, next thing you know, we're getting points. Defense is playing really tough, adjusted well. We're getting good field position. We put some run games together. One of the drives, we didn't have an explosive play, and we ended up scoring a touchdown. But the explosive plays help. There's a stat, and we always talk about this. If you can have one explosive play, it kind of equals 10 points. Right? So if you can, as a defense, we talk about if they have one explosive play, on average, they're going to score about 10 points. If there's 2 explosive plays, that goes anywhere between 18 to 20 points. When you hit like 3 explosive plays or more, you're talking now it's 36 to 40 points a game. And that's we need to keep creating more explosive plays, but it isn't that we're not working at it. When we do it, it's either been intercepted, right, or we haven't made the play. And that's hard to keep going back to that well when the game's, we're down or it's a close game and there's limited possessions. You got to make those types of calls. But I got tons of faith and absolute faith in our team and our players and to be able to make those. But some of those explosive plays, they got to be routine in our minds, just like a hitch or just like a slant. I mean, they've got to be routine that way for us to be the best offense we can be, like they were at the beginning of the year.
One or two more for Coach.
PJ, you talked about wishing Ben and Lindsey well. What have you taken from Hugh in your time with him, and obviously coming into a new role? How do you look to use him?
Yeah, except for knowledge of wine. I mean, we both love wine, and we share. That's usually how we start our conversations. But Hugh and I have met a lot. I mean, he's come over to the facility, and we've just sat and talked about the future of sports and college athletics. And he's got a very unique perspective, and I love learning from him. We're two very different people, but we do have very similar mindsets of what we want to create for our student athletes, not only while they play for us, but the rest of their lives, and the accountability that we're teaching them to become better adults, parents, mothers, fathers. I mean, that's part of the collegiate experience that we both believe in. But I think he's an exceptional leader, an exceptional coach. I couldn't be more excited about him staying in the athletic department. And I even told Garrett, I said, what you need to do is fill up Hugh's calendar and make sure every time he looks at what the next day is, he's over here at the football building. I have that much respect for him. He's a winner. He gets the most out of his student athletes. He believes in a lot of the same things we do as the whole holistic collegiate experience. And I look forward to bouncing a lot of ideas off him as we keep changing through this landscape, because he sees it through a different lens from a different sport. But having him also come over as a neutral party and give me a lot of advice of how we can be creative within our own organization. So, he's one of the best coaches I think we've ever had here, just in any sport. And we're going to take full advantage of that. And we'll talk some more wine as well, I'm sure.
Any last one for Coach, or is everyone else set?
Did you get any sort of explanation from the officiating crew on Mo's run there? And I mean, it seemed like he was heading up for a first down and then the overturn. Just your thoughts there?
Yeah, I only get the information I get, right? And they're gonna do the best they can and make the best call they can. It's close. The one way you can make sure that those calls aren't made is you don't make it close. We always talk to our players, leave no doubt. Mo did everything he could to leave no doubt, right? I'm not questioning that at all. But those are the things, because you're asking people in the booth, what do you see? Is it close? Is it not? I mean, there was plenty of time to be able to review that. And if I ever had any chance to ever think that it was being reviewed at all, which we had plenty of time to do that, I probably wouldn't have called the timeout. We would have probably ran the play if it was under review at all. We had 40 seconds to come to me and say, hey, they're thinking about looking at this. But I was draining the clock, doing what I normally do with a first down. I thought from where we saw it, because I even asked, is it close? I said, nope, you got it. So that's when you kind of go into time management mode. And the best thing for us was to let it go all the way down, call timeout. You're close to downtime at that point. I think there was, 2:30 something on the clock. And, you got to be within 2:08. So now we're getting in all of our, outside zones and stretch plays and staying in bounds, but really letting the clock go down. And maybe we have to punt with, 1 second left or something like that, or 5 seconds left. But that's where my head was. Mine wasn't like, hey, was his back pad down? And, same with the catch that was, on the sideline. I mean, that's pretty bang. So there were 2 calls at the end that were really tough. And it's tough on the officials to make those calls. Those are really hard. But, when you make those calls, it takes a lot to overturn that. And they felt like there was enough to do that. So, but I thought our guys handled it really well and kept playing. And that's what I love about our guys. They don't allow the circumstance to dictate their behavior. They're in an environment like that. 2 calls don't go our way. Both calls could end the game, and then they go out there and end the game. I mean, 2 calls could have ended the game. 2 calls did end the game. And then the game got brought back to life twice, right? And then they still went out there and ended the game on the road, which, again, all these, last time Minnesota won after being down 10-0, 2009, 8 years since Minnesota won after trailing by 10 points or more. Last was 2014, 4 straight wins over Nebraska, right? Last time since 1946 through 1949, somewhere around there, right? That's not bad. Okay. And then last time Minnesota won consecutive games in Lincoln was 1952 and 1960. So they did a great job overcoming those two adverse situations. So cheers. Row the boat, Sky Imago Gophers. See you soon.